A 50-year-old man presents to his primary care provider complaining of smelling abnormal odors on several occasions. He says that he smells burnt rubber even though there is nothing burning and no one around him can smell what he does. This symptom has been intermittently bothering him for the past 6 months. Also during this period, he has had occasional nosebleeds. He works as a high school teacher. Although his work gets a little stressful around the exam season, he says he is able to cope well. Family history is unremarkable. He does not smoke or drink alcohol and denies the use of any medication. Physical examination reveals unilateral nasal obstruction with some dried blood in the nasal passage. What is the most likely diagnosis? The first question, where most of you all have chosen hypnagogic hallucinations, is actually wrong. The correct answer here is neuroblastoma. Okay, guys? So let's see. Let's have a look at this. A 50-year-old man presents to his primary care provider complaining of smelling abnormal odors on several occasions. He says that he smells burnt rubber. So most of you all know that this is very typical of a olfactory hallucination. Like feeling something when it really doesn't exist is called a hallucination. And hallucinations can be of different types. They can be sensory hallucinations, which could be visual, like let's say I say that I can see a ghost whereas there is no ghost there, or it could be auditory hallucination wherein I feel like I can hear somebody singing whereas there's nobody singing. It can be tactile where I can feel that there are worms crawling on my body, or it could be gustatory, which is taste related, or which could be olfactory, which is smell related. So here, nobody around him can smell what he does, but he is smelling something burning. Okay, so this is very typical of an olfactory hallucination. Now, the symptom has been there for about 6 months. He has also had occasional nosebleeds. Okay, so something that is very common with olfactory hallucinations is that there is something wrong along the olfactory system. Okay, now what is the olfactory system? You're going to have your olfactory nerve receptors, which are present in your nose. Then you're going to have the olfactory nerve, and then you're going to have the temporal lobe. The temporal lobe ka medial wala side. Okay, so this is going to make up your basic olfactory system. And if there's a problem anywhere along the system, then you can feel an olfactory hallucination. Okay, so most of you all chose a hypnagogic hallucination, which is definitely wrong, because hypnagogic hallucination is something which is seen in narcolepsy. Okay, narcolepsy is the sleep disorder, and to define hypnagogic hallucination, it's a hallucination that you feel when you are about to sleep. Okay, so it can be anything. Sometimes it is like this hallucination where you feel like you're floating or something like that, and mostly the patient is aware that something weird is happening to me, but he'll still feel this kind of hallucination. Okay, this is very typical. So it's a hallucination which is felt when you're going to sleep. So you can remember it as hypnagogic, going to sleep hallucination. Okay, the correct answer here is neuroblastoma. Okay, so neuroblastoma, let's have a look at it a little bit. So neuroblastoma is actually a tumor which is started in the adrenal medulla. So you know that you have your kidneys, out of the kidney you have the medulla. You have the adrenal gland. Now the adrenal gland has a medulla on top, a medulla on the bottom and a cortex on top. Okay, so the thing that I'm trying to make dark here is the cortex, and lighter thing niche is the medulla. So you have the kidney, you have the adrenal gland with the adrenal cortex and the adrenal medulla. So we know that the adrenal cortex has the zonas like the GFR, your zona glomerulosa, fasciculata, and reticularis. And then you have the adrenal medulla. The adrenal medulla has these neural crest cells, okay? And these neural crest cells can secrete epinephrine and norepinephrine. And a tumor which is arising from these neural crest cells is called a neuroblastoma. Now you must be wondering, what does a neuroblastoma have to do with something that is an olfactory hallucination, right? So this neuroblastoma won't only occur in your adrenal glands. It can occur anywhere along the sympathetic chain in your body. Now your sympathetic chain is present right from the brain up to your thoracic spinal cord. Okay, so it just goes like along the line of the spinal cord. And not just this, because a neuroblastoma made up of immature nerve cells, it can also present in other nerves like an olfactory. Okay, so here the two options which have something to do with the olfactory nervous system is an epilepsy because of involvement of the brain, or it's a neuroblastoma, okay, because of involvement of the nerve. Hypnagogic hallucination doesn't make sense because it's very clearly an olfactory hallucination. Substance abuse, there's nothing really in the vignette to suggest substance abuse. Okay. Schizophrenia is a condition where you have delusions, hallucinations, disorganized thought, disorganized behavior, and negative symptoms. Only one random hallucination with unilateral nasal obstruction is not really going to suggest schizophrenia. Okay, so here we can rule out schizophrenia, here we can rule out substance abuse, we rule out hypnagogic hallucinations. Now we have to think between epilepsy and a neuroblastoma. Okay, so here we can rule out epilepsy because, okay, let's just say they have not said psychomotor. Okay, let's say that it's just epilepsy. Now, if there's an epilepsy in the temporal lobe, which is a part of your olfactory system, that can cause these certain type of olfactory hallucinations. Okay, but one additional symptom that they have given in this vignette is that there is unilateral nasal obstruction. So that doesn't make any sense with epilepsy. In epilepsy, you're not going to have epilepsy doesn't really usually have any obstruction near the nose, right? Whatever's happening is happening right near your temporal lobe or your brain. That is why you start thinking about chalo. Can't be psychomotor epilepsy because there's something happening in the nose. So what is left behind is neuroblastoma. It makes sense because in neuroblastoma, it can involve nerves. It probably involve the olfactory nerve, and since the olfactory nerve is really near the nose, it causes unilateral nasal obstruction. Okay, so that's how ruling out stuff is really important. Now, I don't expect everybody to know that a neuroblastoma can involve this olfactory nerve. Even first aid says that it involves the kidney or medulla and the sympathetic nervous system. But by ruling out other things, more often than not, you can get a correct answer. Okay. So USMLE is not only about knowing things and rote learning things, because there's a certain amount of depth that you can go into. What is important is that you should be able to rule out things really well.
Thanks for watching. Please give a thumbs up and subscribe for more.